Hey there, Algebra 2. This is your Chapter 11 study guide for your test. So we are just going to start right in. Number 1 says Miss Imperio is making Rice Krispie treats. She needs to buy marshmallows and Rice Krispie cereal. One box of Rice Krispie cereal is $1.50 more than one bag of marshmallows. She buys 3 bags of marshmallows and 2 boxes of Rice Krispie cereal for a total price of $15. Determine how much a box of Rice Krispie cereal and a bag of marshmallows cost. Okay, so we have some information here. We're first trying to figure out how much does a box of Rice Krispie cereal cost and how much does a bag of marshmallows cost. So that's going to define what my variables are. So X is going to be the cost of a box of cereal, and Y is going to be the cost of marshmallows. Okay, so from there, what it's giving us is it's giving us 2 different equations. The first one I'm going to do is this one. So she buys 3 bags of marshmallows and 2 boxes of Rice Krispie cereal for a total price of $15. So that equation is going to be 2 boxes of Rice Krispies, so 2x, plus 3 bags of marshmallows, so 3y, equals 15. Excuse me, sorry. Oh, okay. Then, moving on to the next equation. My headphones literally went like flying off my head. Okay, so the next one is 1 box of Rice Krispie cereal is $1.50 more than a bag of marshmallows. So these are always kind of trickier to think about which is it set equal to. And so I try and think of it, which one costs more? And so it says the Rice Krispie cereal is $1.50 more than the bag of marshmallows. So the Rice Krispies are more expensive. So what we're going to do is we're going to say X, the cost of Rice Krispies, is $1.50 more than a bag of marshmallows. So we get X is equal to $1.50 plus Y. And so what happens here is this kind of sets it up really nicely to do substitution. Because we have X isolated and it's all by itself, we can substitute $1.50 plus Y into my first equation for X. And so I'm going to substitute that in. I'm going to do it over here so I have a little bit more room. So the 2 stays the same, but now instead of X, we're going to write 150 plus Y, and then everything else stays the same. Plus 3Y equals 15. So 2 times 150 is 3 plus 2Y plus 3Y equals 15. Combine my like terms, so I get 5Y. I'm going to move this 3 over. So 15 minus 3 gets me 12. And then I'm going to divide 12 by 5. So 12 divided by 5, it gets me 2.4. So that means that a bag of marshmallows costs $2.40. Okay, so then to find the cost of the Rice Krispie box of cereal, we would just plug it back in. So I could either plug it into my top equation or my bottom equation. To me, it makes more sense to plug it into the bottom. So X is equal to $1.50 plus 240. And so when I add those together, I get $3.90. So the Rice Krispie treats cost $3.90, the bag of marshmallows cost $2.40. If I wanted to check my work, I could plug it back in. I've already plugged it into this equation, so I need to plug it back into this equation, and we would just say Okay, so 2 times 390 plus 3 times 240 equals 15. And if that comes out true, then that would mean that I did my work correctly. Okay, so that does it for number 1. Let's move on to number 2. So it says 2x minus y equals 5 and 5x plus 2y equals 8. Use any method to solve. So I would use I would use elimination here. And so to use elimination, what I would do is I would actually, for this one, get rid of my y's. The reason is because I have a -1 and a 2 as my coefficients in front of the y's. So it's a lot easier with that -1, makes it easier. So I'm going to multiply this through by 2. So I would have 4x minus 2y equals 10. And then this equation would stay the same. And now I can add them. So 4x plus 5x is 9x. Negative 2y plus 2y, eliminate, which is what I wanted. And 10 plus 8 is 18. So divide both sides by 9, and I get x is equal to 2. Okay, so then to solve for y, I would plug it back to either one of my equations, top equation or bottom equation. I'm going to plug it into the top equation. So 2 times 2 minus y equals 5. So subtract 4 from both sides. I get negative y equals 1. And so y equals -1. I do want you to write your answer as an ordered pair. So your answer would be 2, -1. If you wanted to check your work, you could plug it back in. Because to get my -1, I plugged it into this equation. To check my work, I would have to plug it into 5x plus 2y equals 8. So 5 times 2 plus 2 times -1 equals 8. 10 minus 2 equals 8, which is true. So my math was correct. Thank goodness. Okay, so that's it for 2. Let's look at 3. So 3 gives you 3x minus 2y equals 8 and x minus 2/3 y equals 12. Now, I would again use elimination here. If you wanted to use substitution, you could. It would be pretty easy as well, but I'm going to use elimination here. So what I'm going to do is I am going to eliminate the x's because this looks yucky to me. So I'm going to multiply this whole bottom equation by -3. So my first equation, 3x minus 2y equals 8, stays the same. And then my bottom equation gets multiplied by -3, so that becomes -3x. Now what happens when I multiply the 2/3 by the -3? First, it becomes positive, and then the 3's actually cancel out. So I'm just left with 2y equals -36. Now what you should be recognizing is that not only do the x's cancel out, but the y's cancel out to leave me with 0 on the left side of the equation and -28 on the right side. And so since that's a false statement, those do not equal each other. That means that my answer is no solution. Remember, if you all the variables cancel out and you're left with a true statement, it's infinitely many solutions. If all the variables cancel out like it did here and you're left with a false statement like you were here, that's when it's no solution. Okay, let's continue on with number 4. Find the determinant of the matrix below. Show all work. Okay, so with this one, what you do, since you have a 3 by 3, you split up your matrices into 3 different 2 by 2s using our -5, -1, and 4. So -5, what's going to happen to get our matrices? we are going to cover up here, and we would cover up the row it's in as well. And so we're left with that 2, 4, negative 3, 6. So that's our new 2 by 2. 2, 4, negative 3, and 6. Now remember, with determinants, they have signs. So the first column is positive, then negative, then positive. So we're going to subtract the negative 1. And now to get the 2 by 2 for the negative 1, we're going to cover it up, the column it's in, and then cover up the row it's in. And so we're left with that negative 2, 3, negative 3, and 6. So negative 2, 3, negative 3, and 6. And then we're going to add 4. And to get that 2 by 2, so we cover up the row it's in and cover up the column it's in. And we get negative 2, 3, 2, and 4. So negative 2, 3, 2, and 4. So then from this point, we take the determinant of each 2 by 2 and multiply it by the negative, or the negative 5, the negative 1, and the 4. So the negative 5 right now just stays there. We first need to find the determinant. So it'd be 2 times 6. So remember, it's first these two numbers. So 2 times 6, which is 12, minus, it's always subtracting because these have alternating signs as well. So minus 4 times negative 3. And 4 times negative 3 gets me negative 12. So minus a negative 1. Now I am going to right off the bat, I'm just going to change that to plus 1. And then we are going to multiply. So negative 2 times 6, which is negative 12. Lots of 12s here. Minus, always subtract, because plus minus there. Minus 3 times a negative 3. And 3 times negative 3 is that negative 9 plus 4. And we do it again. So negative 2 times 4, which is negative 8. Minus, because of my minus here, 2 times 3, which gets me 6. And then we just kind of follow our order of operations. So 12 minus a negative 12 gets me 24, because that negative and negative turn to positive. Negative 12 minus negative, again, changes it to a positive. So we get minus 3. And then negative 8 minus 6 is negative 14. And then we can start multiplying. So when I do that, which I have to plug it into my calculator, and I multiply all that out, I get negative 179. And so that is my answer to number 4. I'm going to pause it here and continue on with the other problems on the next video.